It was still a little awkward. Afterwards, I look at my schedule in my car.
Hello. You all shouldn't be so quiet.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Benedicta.
Hi, Coach.
Hi, I'm very happy to meet you all.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's just give maybe an additional minute to ensure that everyone is connected. And please, if you've not signed in with your real name, go ahead and sign in with your real name, please. It's very important. All right, I think we have everyone on board now. We can get started. So the very first thing I'll do, I'm going to run us through our agenda here, but before we do so, let me just so who signed in with 895-680-35985? Your real name, would appreciate it. All right. So while our team members updating their name, I'm going to share my screen here so we can quickly run through our agenda for today. All right, so first thing first, if you would please mute yourself, that would be great. So, team, this is what our day today would look like for the next 1 hour. I am just going to quickly introduce myself to you. And then we discuss our rules of engagement as a team. You know, in every environment, as long as there is more than one person, we need some guidance to be able to work together. And then we discuss our values, what we uphold to as a team. After that, once we've understood this two, most important, we will break out where we would introduce ourselves to each other, just to learn a little bit more about each other. And we already discussed logging with real names. And then while we do that, we do our daily scrum. It is during this daily scrum that what we will collect the impediments that anyone may have from completing their lesson 1 or chapter 1, because our goal for today is to make sure that we clarify, we review chapter 1 and we clarify on any ambiguity. That's really why we're here today. So we will do the same for all of the 8 chapters we have to finish this entire program. So today, we only have to focus on chapter 1. And while we collect these impediments, please mute yourself. Thank you. And then we will clarify on where we call the parking lot. We will learn more on this as we progress. So that is it on our agenda. Any questions so far? Okay. So, some people may already know my name, some may not. I'm Karen Fomafung, and I am located in Minnesota. I have been in this environment of product development, project management for over 11, 12 years now, starting off as a traditional project manager, doing my thing, but struggling because the way the traditional project management is designed, it doesn't suit my natural personality. So I came across Agile, while doing my normal job, and the organization I was working with at that time decided to transition to Agile. And my supervisor thought I will be a good fit based on my personality. So he tapped me on the shoulder and he asked if I would be interested in being one of the super users. I didn't know nothing about Agile, but I thought it was cool. If he believed that I could do it, then why not? We went for the training, and everything they talked about, the very first lesson was about the Agile Manifesto. It just clicked. I found myself flowing naturally in it without any struggle. I was already struggling in being a project manager because with that, you have to instruct people. You have to tell people what to do, all of that. That's not me. That's not my kind of thing. So I just picked up from there and I became so passionate about it. And then I wanted to know more. I went back to school. I did a master's in Agile project management. And ever since then, I've never looked back. So what I do in summary, in a nutshell, which you will learn more about me as we get into this program or as we dine for 1 month. I love helping organizations. I love helping teams. I love helping individuals to succeed in Agile. That's what I do in a nutshell. So that's a little bit about me. Now, let's move to our rules of engagement. So these 9 rules here are guidelines of working together as a family for the next 1 month. I also want to just say that this is not set on stone. As I go through this, if there is anything on it you think maybe it doesn't make sense, maybe it shouldn't even be here, or if you have suggestions for improvements, please let us know. So, number 1, we want to show up on time. That's very important. Again, things happen. If anything should happen, just communicate. And the best form of communication is our WhatsApp chat forum. That's why we have that forum, for that kind of communication. And here, diversity and inclusion is one of our core strengths. We leverage diversity and inclusion. And I know that it's easy. Whenever we hear of diversity and inclusion, we're only thinking of race. That's not just all what it's all about. Diversity and inclusion in terms of our strengths, our weaknesses, our culture, race, our tools and techniques, all of these things, we see that as a source of strength, so we use it to our advantage. Do not assume. So here is the safest place you can fail fast and learn fast. So never think your question doesn't make any sense. Rather than just assuming, ask if you're not sure. Come prepared, be present and participate. So it's really not all about you showing up here. We need you to be present mentally. It's just a 1-hour session. So we would urge you to use it to your advantage. And the best way you can do that is just commit your all during this 1 hour so that you can get the best of this program. This program is really a partnership thing. I can give all the resources, but it's all up to you to use them. And for you to successfully do that, just participate and be present. When conflicts arise, which it may, please focus on the issue and not the person. So in an Agile space, we see conflict as a powerful tool. Now, it becomes a problem if whenever it happens, we forget about the issue and we focus on the person. We see conflicts as one of the best ways for ideas to be born. So if you're in an environment and no conflict is happening, you should be questioning the growth of that environment. Now, when it happens, for us to make the best out of it, let's focus on the issue and leave the person or the people out of it. Everyone is equal here. We treat each other with respect. We should be on camera. That is leading by example. And that is how we build relationship. It starts from day one. It's not a rule, but that is how we operate in an Agile environment. And as an Agile practitioner, it will be hard for you to not walk the talk. you see. So, but if truly you think that your background may be distracting to your peers, it just makes sense that you switch it off. But from an honest place, you always want to be on camera, because that's the only way we can really connect the faces to the names, and that's the only way we can really build relationship. All right, if you are not speaking, please mute yourself. Most of the time, I would say half of the class hardly ever make it to the live session. They rely 100% on the recording. And if it's not clear, I mean, it just makes sense that we are respectful and to make sure that we keep good content for them. And even those who are connected live, we just want to be respectful of people's time. So the last one, we apply the 7 seconds rule to think. So it means that if an idea is put out there and maybe a question or anything, anyone can ask a question. So it's been proven that 7 seconds is enough for anyone to say something if they want to, if they really are willing to say something. If no one is attempting, I can, share my own thought. If I don't know the answer, we will carry it forward. Any question on our rules of engagement or ground rules? All right, that's 7 seconds already. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, I have something to say.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. First, thank you that I'm grateful that I'm being here actually, and there's no place that I'd rather be than this place. But I have a training. It was supposed to be last week, but they shifted it to this week. And as we're talking right now, it's actually going on. I also told them I also have this, but I don't know how to share myself right now into 2. So that I had to mute it and come over here. So I was like, even if I do 30 minutes here, do you understand? And since I'll get the recording, so I just wanted to share it first before we start.
Yeah, thank you for letting us know. So again, it's all up to you though. So the recordings will always be available right after the session. We share it on the WhatsApp platform. So it's really up to you. But the point is, I mean, if I were you, I have paid my money. I want to make sure I use it to my advantage. So you shouldn't worry about it because you can always catch up later.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, on our values. So these are the values that we uphold to as being Agile Consulting, an Agile family, and as Go-Getter Level 1 team. As you continue to learn, you realize that these first 5 values are our standard Scrum values. That's how powerful these values are. Commitment. I just addressed commitment now. Let's be committed. That's how we achieve the result. And then we respect everyone, regardless of who you are. We want to respect each other here. Be focused. We already addressed focus. Openness is speak up, speak up whatever it is. Let's be transparent. Let's be open to each other. And then courage really means being able to do the right thing. That's what courage means. Be courageous enough to take on challenges. Be courageous enough to do the right thing. Be courageous enough to challenge the status quo. I think we are about 23 online. Even if 22 people are going left and you know that it's wrong, don't feel intimidated and want to follow them even when you know it's wrong. So be courageous enough to be the only person going on the other side because you know it's the right thing to do. That's what courage means. And then these 3 are my personal values. So everywhere I go, every class I teach, every mentoring I do, I bring these 3 along. Accountability. We have to be accountable to whatever we've signed up for. Integrity. I mean, we all know what integrity is. And then trust is very powerful. So trust, what trust really implies here is, we don't know each other here. We're probably meeting for the first time for most people. So how do we even work together as a team? Especially with Agile, you cannot work on your own. It's a team effort. Because if one person is failing, we all are failing. That's a mindset we have. If one person is succeeding, we all are succeeding. So how do you even get to work with people that you don't even know? We do what we call trust at first sight. You don't need to have a reason to trust people. That's the only way you can be able to achieve a common goal. You see? So, but you don't want to be that reason for people to stop trusting as well. So when they give you that trust, don't betray the trust. And that is why a typical example would be the resources we've given, all the recordings we've given you all access to. We are trusting that you will keep it confidential because we don't even know you. but we are trusting that you will do the right thing. So that's it for our values. Any questions so far? All right. Yes, go ahead. Okay, no question. It's already 7 seconds. I guess I'm going to stop sharing now. Thank you all for listening to me rant for the past 10 minutes. All right, now this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put us all in breakout rooms. So what we will be doing in these breakout rooms is, it's just going to be, how many minutes did I put there? 6 minutes. So you all will quickly introduce yourselves to each other. And the scope of your introduction will just be your name, your location. And maybe if you have some time left waiting for your 6 minutes to elapse, you can share any other thing. But the goal here is we want to build relationships. We want to establish relationships. As a matter of fact, by the end of this session, I'll expect you all to really start thinking of how we want to leverage 25 connections. Are you building your LinkedIn profile? Are you adding all of your teammates already as your new connections on LinkedIn? That's how important relationship building is. So that will be the purpose of the breakout rooms right now, is just go in there and learn about each other. So I'll see you all in 6 minutes. Now, once we get back here, we're going to facilitate a daily Scrum. I am going to be the Scrum Master for today because it's the first session, but today will be the only day I'll be the Scrum Master for the next 4 weeks. Every one of you will have an opportunity to run a daily, to be a Scrum Master, and you role play like that every time we connect for our sessions. All right. So does anyone have any questions before we go into the breakout rooms? All right, let's see. Okay, I think I need to assign people. So everyone will, there'll be 4 team members in each room. And then you also notice that the names of the breakout rooms are our values. And the reason why we always like to do it this way is so that you start getting familiar with these values and you start living up to these values, not only in class, in your personal life. As an Agile practitioner, you cannot fake these things, trust me. You just become it. If you're unable to become it, then Agile is not for you. All right, see you all in 6 minutes.
We can't hear you. You're muted.
All right, I guess I was just talking to myself. All right, so let's just give a minute so everyone can reconnect. All right, so now that we have learned a little bit about each other, let's move on to facilitate our daily Scrum. So like I said, today's going to be the first and the last day that I'll be a Scrum Master. Now, this is the scope or the structure of our daily Scrum. Please mute yourself. Thank you. So we will structure our daily Scrum around 3 questions, but I just want to put it out there that the latest Scrum guide that was released in 2020 no longer have the 3 questions as the structure. It's been left open for the teams to decide on how they want to run it. But since we are still new in this, we would want to use that today. And then as we move forward, all will decide on how you would want to run it. All right. Now, I'm very glad that you may have already completed your assignment, which is the chapter 1. I'm very glad that you probably know what you want to do next. What I'm interested in is to capture any impediment you have. That's what I'm really interested in. So please, as we go through our team members, be mindful that the time box is just 15 minutes. So you don't want to spend all the time going deep into what you read. And like, for example, some people would say that I understood that a product, the difference between product and project. I understood the SDLC and all of that. No, really, I'm not interested in that because I know that you understand that. But if you have any impediments, that's what I need you to tell us. And then I'm going to be writing them down. Once we are done collecting them all, we will address them. Any question? Any clarification needed? All right. Okay, go ahead, Bessie.
I have a question. I know this is kind of counterproductive or counterintuitive, but is it possible for you to send us like the slides? I don't know if it was slides that you used in the.
It's in there. Yes, that's a good question. It's in
because
Drive.
Some of us still needed to have it on paper first. Since this is
you did it. You have it. It's in the Drive, so you all have access to the entire PDF document.
Where is it?
Was it a PDF or screen grabs of some? It looked like screen grabs to me.
So there is a video, there are videos, and then there are PDFs. There is a PDF that contains everything we'll talk about for the next 1 month. So we'll address that, we'll clarify on that while we are wrapping up with the session for today. So don't worry.
Okay.
All right. Okay, let's start with Bessim. Bessim, can you just please go ahead and tell us what you accomplished before this session, what you plan to accomplish next, and if you have any impediment?
So first I'll need to ask, because that was what I was gonna ask before the other lady interrupted.
Okay, go ahead.
Were we supposed to watch a video before this session?
Yes, you're supposed to watch your chapter 1.
Okay.
And come with any question. That's okay. If you miss that, let's just move on to the next person.
Where am I going to get it from, please?
What's that?
Where am I going to get the video from?
You already have access to. Even before you get added to WhatsApp group, they should have already granted you access. So we can figure that out after the session. So don't worry. Okay. So I'm not sure who joined with 128-159-48063. So if that's you, please update with your real name. Aberdeen, do you have any impediment?
None for now.
Yes.
Oh, that's me.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm the one with the 281 number. My name is Ade.
Okay, go ahead and tell us about your daily, what you accomplished.
Well, I just joined the class 2 hours ago, but I think I watched a little bit of video, and
Okay. So if you would update your real name so that we
Yes.
can know you.
My
That would
name
be-
is Ade Tadewa.
Yeah, just update it on the Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
All right. Akolade. And if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, please forgive me and correct me.
You're about 98% correct.
Thank you. So what did you accomplish and what is your impediment if you do have any? And what do you plan to accomplish next?
Actually, I don't have any impediment. I've just started watching the video. I didn't realize there are video slides I needed to watch because I only joined I think last night, and so I just had access to the videos today. So I have watched about a couple of minutes, about 20 minutes of it before today, before the meeting. So I will watch it more and see if there's any further questions I have afterwards.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to Benedicta.
No impediment. I learned a lot of stuff. I watched the video, like the chapter 1, for like 3 times. I was watching, and if I found any thing difficult, I go to YouTube. I post the stuff on YouTube, and I try to see if other like teachers explain it better to me. Also, yeah, no impediment. So I learned about SDLC.
Okay, so what do you plan to accomplish next?
To know the like the basis of
so the goal for next session would be chapter 2.
Yeah,
that's really the goal.
Chapter 2, where
Okay.
it talks about going details about Scrum.
Okay. All right. So when we talk about what you plan to accomplish next, I'm talking to the entire team now. If you have plans to accomplish our scope, in addition to anything else, like maybe reading the Scrum Guide, anything else that will help you get to your goal, would like to hear you tell us those things. All right.
For me, go on, please.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Billy. Billy, you're muted.
For me, okay, sorry. For me, there was no impediment. I watched my video like weeks back, so like I really have to go and watch it again, to catch up.
Okay. What do you plan to accomplish?
I don't have any impediment at all. Like to refresh, just to. But for me, so far, there's no impediment at all. Like
Okay.
I understood it very well.
Right.
If I know you're going to ask questions about it, I most likely would have, just touched up again before.
Okay.
Now.
So let me just clarify. You don't need to feel the pressure to must have a question. No. The reason for this live session is to clarify on any potential question or confusion you may have. That's the purpose for this session. So I don't want anyone to feel the pressure of, okay, I don't have any question. What am I going to say? No. But if you have them, great. Then we can clarify. So thank you, Billy.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, Bisoye.
Sorry. No impediment. I think I'm fine now.
All right. So what do you plan to accomplish next?
Well, going to chapter 2. So no more.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. To learn more.
Right. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move to Christine. So from Christine, try to stay around the 3 questions. What you've accomplished, what you plan to accomplish next, if you have any impediment. So as we continue to go through our team members, you all will get it. So don't worry about not being perfect for now. So, but that's the scope of our conversation. All right, Christine.
Yes. I'm still learning. I listened to the video like 2 times. Everything is still new to me. So, I'm still I'm still learning, so I will not say that I have any question for now. As we go on, I might have some questions to ask.
Okay. All right, thank you. Else, did I call your name correctly?
Oh yeah, you Elvis. You can call it Elvis.
Okay, Elvis. All right.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yes. I had the opportunity last night of listening to the video, and just like Christine, it's all too new. It's new to me too, and though I managed to understand quite a lot, I might not understand that much, like so to say, but I understand a lot, and my goal is to try to understand the most important, because through the video there are some things you said in there that, I mean, you just mentioning, we don't need to pay much attention to that, but everything is worth knowing though, so I strive to know a lot that will help me go through this process. And my little challenge, I see there is a lot of acronyms in the whole system, and you know, yeah, I just hope I'll be able to, within the time, place them.
That's a very valid challenge. Thank you. And what do you plan to accomplish next?
Be the super Scrum Master, like our coach.
Okay. So is level chapter 2 part of that plan?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on to Esther.
Hello, I have no impediment, and what I'd like to accomplish next is go through the Scrum workshop, the book, because it goes detailed. So to go through it more by next class, so I can have better understanding.
All right, thank you, Esther.
Thank you.
All right, Frederick, Ijoma. I'm assuming it's Ijoma.
Yes, exactly. The first video I actually went through, I don't have any impediments right now. I actually understood it like the definition part of it. And my next goal is that I want to know them beyond the definition aspect of it. Like I want to explain these terms in a way that just when someone just woke you up from sleep, you're just explaining something. You don't need to start looking through your books. Do I have
That's good. That's
exactly.
Good. That's the spirit.
So right. I have a question though, but I don't think it's due for this class. It was on the second video, so maybe I'll just wait as we go along.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So after the session, feel free. I would post, if I were you, I'll post it on the WhatsApp forum to pick my peers' brain. That's why the WhatsApp forum is there, while we wait for Thursday's session. Whatever question you have, put it on the WhatsApp forum for your team members, not for me.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Glory.
Hi, no impediment for now, and like everyone else, I'm still trying to get into it and actually know what you mean by being agile. That really got me. I'm like, really be agile? Okay.
All right.
That's like my next challenge. Just how can I be agile?
Don't worry, you will be agile. Maybe you're already agile, but you don't know that's how it's called. So we don't know. Find out.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Glory. Ian.
Yes, as it relates to chapter 1, I watched the whole video. I took down a good amount of notes. Impediment, I guess the only thing I could think of would be to figure out maybe what programs the waterfall is applicable for that Agile can't do. And I guess to make that happen, I would have to perhaps go back and review the slides, chapter 1, to find my answer. That's pretty much it.
That's a good Good question.
Yeah.
In fact, I love the question. All right, thank you, Ian. All right, Jesse. Jesse, I think you're muted.
Okay. I listened to the videos and it was very expressive based on what I've already known. So you really broke down everything, and I was very happy. And I don't have any impediment, and I plan to listen to module 2, and I know that I'll be very happy as well.
All right, great. Thank you, Jesse. Joyce.
I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me and hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can see you and hear you.
Okay, yeah. So what I accomplished, I was able to watch the first video. You broke down everything to a point where I could understand it without having any prior knowledge. I didn't have any impediments. The only impediment I had was, I think someone else asked about not being able to see the slides individually. Besides that, I didn't have any impediment. And then what I plan next to do is read chapter 2.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Nene, if I don't pronounce correctly, please correct me.
No, that's absolutely correct.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So I did go through the chapter 1. I went through it more than twice. It's all new to me. So what I'm trying to do in between is listen to it to familiarize myself with the terminologies used, since it's something new. So you have to learn, to get used to it and everything. So going forward, no impediments at this time. I'm going to go to chapter 2, and in between, go back to chapter 1, flow with that. That's what I intend to do for each chapter till we finish the course.
Awesome. Thank you. Lady Pale.
Hi, everyone. So I just registered few, like an hour or two before the class, so I haven't been able to go through the video. Yeah.
Okay. What do you plan?
I'm looking forward to go through it tonight, and then maybe move on to chapter 2 tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you too.
All right. Let's move on to Sharifa.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, I watched the video like so many times, and this is still new to me. It is still really very new. I wrote down some questions that I have that I got.
Tell us.
Okay. My first question was like, the product owner, to succeed, the entire team must respect their decision. Like the team has to respect their decision. So what if the Scrum Master like disagrees on that? Like what happens?
What if the Scrum Master disagrees on the decision?
Yeah, with what the product owner is saying or he's deciding. Can you raise your, as a Scrum Master, can you say something about it?
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of my first question. And my second question was, I think the product owner is the one who has the right to cancel the sprint. But if let's say the sprint is not going right, can the Scrum Master also cancel the sprint?
So that's not part of chapter 1, correct?
Oh, really? Oh yeah, I think I watched that in too. Sorry. Okay.
I'm glad that you're already far ahead, but now everyone is talking. Okay, what are you talking about?
Okay. Yes, and another thing, what I'm trying to like achieve, I think, when we are going forward is like I'm telling like my friends, oh, I'm starting to become a Scrum Master. Like I want to be able to actually say, like when they ask me what is a Scrum Master, I want to be able to actually say it. Like describe like a Scrum Master without having to describe everything, like trying to say what you said in the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope now you know who a Scrum Master is.
Yeah, I'm getting there very well.
All right, thank you. Monier.
Hi, everyone. So I managed to go through the chapter 1 today, and it was very, very informative for sure. I appreciated it a lot. And I would say I want to dive deeper into the empirical process. That's in chapter 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I did both, so I just want to make sure.
Okay.
And other than that, going forward, I would say I just, want to be able to focus on chapter 2 and make the best of it, get the best out of it.
Awesome, thank you.
Welcome.
Nafi.
Hi, Karen. Hi, everyone.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I am an overzealous student, and I've gone all the way to chapter 7.
Awesome, great.
Yeah, so all these people who are saying, I don't have a question, believe me, when you get to velocity, product backlog refinement, you're going to have lots and lots of questions. So yeah, when I was going through the burn down chart and all those things, I was like, oh my God, I have tons of questions. But with regards to chapter 1, I think I'm good. And the only little question that will need clearing up will be like the waterfall system. So the waterfall system, I know it has to do with like the old method where it was redundant, it was slow. They have to do like the relay race, you do the whole thing and give to the next level of product development and all that stuff. But I really want to have like a concrete definition of what waterfall is. I think I have a general idea, but I want to have like an official definition that I can pinpoint, like this is the waterfall system.
Okay.
Yeah, and moving forward, I just want to go, get this Scrum. I want to get it as soon as I can. Review, get my certification, get ready for the job market. Boom. That's where I'm at.
That's the spirit. And I hope that the light will not dim along the way. That's
no, it does. It would. It cannot.
All right. Thank you very much. Tokumbo.
Well, I didn't really have any impediments. It's just all still very abstract since I have no like background in computers and all that. But so far so good. And the only question I guess I had where I got confused was the difference between prototyping, testing, and dry run. The explanation sounded the same to me. So if you could elaborate on that, that would be great. But other than that, it's been good. I found the PDF form, so I'm gonna go print all of that because I'm more of a visual learner, so I need to actually have it on paper.
That's I think we sound like that. So all right, thank you. Blessing.
There were no impediments, but I was not able to really capture the meaning of, so you said there were 4 things that we needed to know: the value mindset, increment, and the 4th one, iteration. Is that iteration? Yeah, when I got to iteration, I couldn't really understand the purpose.
All right. All right.
Other than that, the lesson was great.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. So now, by the way, usually the first day of class we usually go beyond our normal time because of all of the guidance and directions. So I just want to urge everyone, it's expected, but you're not held to stay. If you want to drop off when it's time, feel free to do so. But just so you know. Okay, now let's address the impediments we have. So
I have one more question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Sharifa, go ahead.
Okay. So another question that I wrote down was, so if the Scrum team become too big, they should consider reorganizing into multiple Scrum teams. Who decides that?
Okay, but that's not part of chapter 1 still. I think you're running too much, which is good. Yeah, so let's focus on chapter 1 today, but we'll definitely clarify on that. That's a good question. All right, but I love the spirit, I really do. So I just want us to clarify on the videos in the drive and the PDF. So you will notice that in the drive, we have 8 videos. And then there is also a PDF that is called Scrum Workshop. That PDF contains everything that we will talk about in those 8 videos. Now, the PDF documentation is going to be yours to keep. So as we move on, maybe around the 7th or 8th class, they will grant you editing access, which will allow you to make a copy of the PDF. But the videos will not be yours to keep, just so you know. You don't want to take my voice and go, Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify on that. So don't think you need to go sit there and make all the notes because there is no PDF. No, you have all of the booklet available. All right, and then the next thing that we have as an impediment. So Christine mentioned, not only Christine, that everything is pretty new, all the terminologies and all of that. I want to just state that that is very normal. So don't allow yourself to be pressured because of the newness. Again, it's the first time you're doing this. You've never done it before, so you're not expected to pick and understand everything. But one thing I want to assure everyone is that as we progress, you will continuously hear these same terminologies and the same acronyms, and then you will become familiar with them. It's just like a kid growing up. As they practice steps, they start working very well. It's the same thing with this, what we are learning. So don't think that you are expected to just understand all the terminologies, understand everything on day one. No. But as we continue and we progress, they will become familiar to you and you will be comfortable. The way, and it doesn't happen by magic. What I would do is I would start speaking this terminologies. Like right now, we are in this session. It would be easy for me to say, do you have any problem? You see, that's impediment. That's how we call it in the Agile space. But I am calling it impediment because that's who we are now. Rather than problems, we don't talk about problems in the Agile spaces, impediments. So try to speak it out so that you become acquainted. All right. And all of these acronyms, you know that every industry, every profession, they have their business language, the business acronyms and business terminologies. So if this is the path you've chosen, you just have to open your mind to start getting familiar with these acronyms. Okay. So Ian asked, what kind of programs is applicable for waterfall, or what kind of projects applicable for waterfall that Agile cannot work in that environment? I think that is really a good question because that is the reality most waterfall project managers face. And that is the biggest cost of their resistance, because when their organization choose to go Agile, and then they start hiring all these Agile practitioners, the project managers or the people who used to do things the old way, they start feeling threatened. And based on my experience, that's usually the cause of their resistance, because they see you like you're coming to take what is supposed to be theirs. Who are you? You're just like, what are you trying to do? You know, I've invested in this career for the past 25 years, and now you're coming to tell me that what I've been doing is not the right thing. So what I'm trying to say is that Agile works for every single environment. Remember, Agile is the mindset. So you can shift that mindset. And what is really the mindset? Focusing on the Agile manifesto. The mindset is all about putting people first. Having the understanding that you do not necessarily need to micromanage people before they do what they're supposed to do. All you have to do is empower them, give them the support they need and the direction, and trust. Remember, trust at first sight. Trust that they will do the work. And that is why you shouldn't even hire anybody you're not able to trust. You see, but the waterfall way of doing work Managers think that they are supposed to be in the business, inside the box every 2 seconds, status updates every minute, every second before the work will be done. No, in the Agile world, we believe that you focus on empowering people and then they will get the work done for you. Trusting and believing in them. That is really what we are trying to shift people's way of working, the way of thinking. That's just the mindset. And then now, under this Agile, we have different frameworks, which Scrum is just an example. Kanban is just another example of one of the Agile frameworks. Extreme programming is just one of another example. Crystal is another example. You know, those are just a typical example. So the way I would expect this question to be put the right way is, what are the kind of project that Scrum cannot work, that will fit the waterfall instead of Scrum? Because Agile is not a process. Agile is the mindset. And then under the Agile umbrella, we have the children, which is Scrum, Kanban, extreme programming, and all of that. Now that we all have that understanding, let's go back to what I would think should be the original question. What kinds of projects should work in a waterfall environment? A typical example of a kind of project that will work in a waterfall environment is building a house, because it is very linear, it's sequential, you know. That's the kind of project where the requirements are known ahead of time. It is stable. Like you already know, like let's say the people that build houses, and they've been doing it for a while, they already know what they need to do, what they need in order to put that house together. But for something like software, and that's why you commonly hear Scrum a lot in software development organizations, it's because of the complexity. Software projects are very complex. They hardly ever understand what is really required to get to the expected end. Even the customers asking for that product hardly ever understand everything about it. Most of the time, customers may only understand 20% of what they really need as opposed to what they thought they needed. And then in the course of discovering together, doing little pieces, testing them, and continuously fixing things as we go, adjusting as we go, you will end up getting the right thing as opposed to what you thought was supposed to be the right thing. But with a building, you know, that's really linear, is sequential in nature. The requirements are known upfront. That's a typical example of what you would do with a waterfall project. I can just give you a real life example on a software environment. So I used to work for one medical device organization, and it was a hybrid system. Hybrid in terms of there are some projects. So we actually adopted Agile ways of thinking, but under the Agile ways of thinking, there are some projects that we would accomplish using the waterfall method. And then there are other projects that we would use Scrum like that. That's why we called it hybrid. Now, the typical project that we would use Scrum to develop, so we used to create pumps. It's just an instrument that reads the drops of IV that gets into the patient, into every patient in the hospital. So we create the server that manages that runs the whole of that system. And then our clients were hospitals. So that's the software we created, and we use Scrum to do that. Now, once we are done creating that software, the main language or the primary language is English language that we use to create that software. And because that organization, they have clients globally, they have clients in Italy, they have clients in Germany, everywhere. They had to translate the original English version into all these different languages so that they can serve their clients globally. So once we were done creating this main product in the English version, the second part of the work, which was just to the translation part of it, we did not do it internal. We had to subcontract it to vendors external. We run that second part in a waterfall way because we already knew what we wanted. It was very simple. All we needed was just translation. Let's see. So there was no point to go sit there and run it in a Scrum because it's not that complex. It's just to translate in, and they will specify the languages, translate in 10 different languages. And that's it. So that's just a typical example of the kind of work that can fit in a waterfall environment. So the reason why I'm really emphasizing on this point is because it's a real life. People misinterpret these things and they're thinking that Agile has come to kick out waterfall. No, waterfall is not the devil. Project managers are not enemies. They all still have a place. Waterfall still has its place, you know. So you just need to be able to determine the complexity of your work, and then you pick which approach to use that will best solve your problem. All right. So as we were going through the daily Scrum, if you notice, I didn't say, what did you do before this class? I didn't say, what do you plan to do next? I said, what did you accomplish? There's a reason why I'm using that phrase. What did you accomplish? Because the point is, I don't just want you to complete the lesson just because it's the goal, no. Or just because we said you should complete lesson 1 before connecting to class, no. I need you to make sure that you're accomplishing something from it. You're getting some value out of it. It is adding some value to you towards your ultimate goal. That is why I'm using the term accomplish and not just doing. So again, this means we are looking to be outcome focused and not output focused. I just don't need you to run through all the slides and then close your computer and go your way. You want to make sure that you are getting it, you're understanding it. That is the accomplishment part of it. I just wanted to bring this out so that as we progress, because that's a part of being agile. Someone was wondering, what's this being agile all about? I think we already addressed it. It's the mindset. That is being agile. And you cannot do agile. The doing part is the framework, the Scrum, the Kanban, whatever you choose to do, that's a doing part. You cannot do agile successfully if you are not agile. And then the being agile part is your mindset. So that is being agile, is that simple. And for you to say you are agile, you should be focused on this work that I'm doing. How is it going to benefit the people I'm working for? What is the value they will get from it? Are they able to even use it? Even if they use it, will they get value from it? That is the outcome focus we are talking about. We don't just want to complete tasks just because we want to come across as we're busy. I call that pretend busy. No, we don't want to be pretend busy. We want to be adding value. So that's the difference between outcome and output. All right. Any questions so far based on what we've talked about? All right. Go ahead, please. Okay. So what is the Scrum Master? So Sharifa asked this question. What if the Scrum Master disagrees with the PO? So let's relate this to your normal daily life, Sharifa. What if your friend or whoever is close to you, or what if you disagree with whatever you all were talking about? What if you don't agree with what they're saying? What do you do?
I say something.
Very good. You say something. So it's the same as a Scrum Master. So I am assuming, again, I don't like to assume, which we already addressed in our rules of working. We don't want to assume, but again, if my assumption is wrong, correct me. I think your question is coming from the place of intimidation, because I've seen this several times. Like, okay, what if this PO is saying something that I don't agree with? Should I say something or not? I am assuming that's the place you're coming from with this question. And I may be wrong. Am I correct or wrong?
You're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So see this whole thing we are saying. See, let me tell you, being a Scrum Master, 80% is relationship building. That's 80% of your job. Applying emotional intelligence, knowing how to help people. resolve their own problems by exposing the problems. That is how you're doing your job. Exposing the problems, you not solving the problem. You are not a problem solver, you are a problem exposer. That is why if I am hiring a candidate and then on their resume, I see that, you know, when they'll say put your skills and they'll say I'm a great problem solver. No, I'm already questioning that. It means you don't even know what you're talking about as a Scrum practitioner or as an Agile practitioner. If it was any ordinary job, that's fine. But as an Agile practitioner, no, we don't want you to be a problem solver because we see that as you impeding the team from thinking for themselves and solving their own problems. What you are doing is exposing the problem. That is how you're doing your job. So if a PO is saying something and you don't agree with it for whatever reason, what you do is have a conversation. There is no problem that will ever be solved without a conversation, let me tell you. A typical example, you see the war going on in Ukraine and where's the other place, Russia right now. After all the killing and fighting, they will settle it with a conversation. That's how it will happen. Because they will never get any result with all the killings. They will settle with a conversation. It's the same thing in this Agile space. So if your PO is saying anything you don't agree with, rather than like, why are you doing this and all of that, or just start assuming negative intentions, I always try to be in a place of assuming positive intention. Because just the same way I want the best for the organization, I would want to think that the PO, even if what he's saying come across as wrong, I would want to think that it's coming from a good place. So I would reach out, have a conversation to truly understand where he's coming from, and then I share my own perspective, and let's see how we can, you know, achieve the goal together. That's just what it is. Remember, as a Scrum Master, one of the values is courage. See, that's why we have these values to guide you, so that when you're scared and you don't want to challenge the status quo because you don't want to be like the only bad person in the room, remember that courage is one of the values you're supposed to uphold to. If not, you're just faking being a Scrum Master. See, I'm telling you, that's how I've been able to be where I'm at today. Trust me. Just being able to stand for the truth. It's not always comfortable. Trust me, it's not always comfortable. But in every organization, there must be at least one or two true leaders. And if everyone is bashing you, those two people will recognize you for that. And that's all that matters. Even if you end up leaving that organization because they could not just understand why you should be open, you should be dishonest, you know that you're living with a good conscience, with a clear conscience that you did your best. But if it's a situation you saw something going wrong and you shut your mouth, you didn't say nothing, and even if you end up leaving that organization, it's not going to be from a good place. Your conscience will not be clear. So challenge the status quo in a respectful way. All right. So Monier wants to really have some better understanding on empirical process. I would like someone to share with us their understanding of empirical process or the empirical way of working.
Hi, can I say something about it?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so according to my understanding, the empirical process is making decisions that are informed decisions based on data, based on, you know, for example, I know I make pancakes by using 2 eggs and milk and all that. So 10 out of 10 times, if I use my 2 eggs and milk and everything, the pancake is going to be delicious. So we have to like come out, set a framework. We know that every time we do this thing, this will be the outcome. So empirical process is basically data, doing it the same way all the time, making informed decisions, and that way you can trust your process.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you. That is it's just that, you know, like I said, every profession have their language. They just use this thing empirical just to scare us. It's just about making decisions based on facts, not assuming anything. You're deciding on how you will do this work based on facts. And what do you consider as facts? It's not you coming in the midst of 23 people and saying that you know that for sure we can take 3 days to accomplish this work, or you know for sure that we can take only 2 weeks to accomplish this whole this program. if you don't have data, you are just another person in the room with your own opinion, and nobody cares about your opinion. That's what it is. So if you want to be heard, show us data. It shouldn't be imaginary data. It should be data that you've actually collected based on you trying things out or experimenting. You see, that is the empirical way of working. And where we come in as Agile practitioners is in the real world, that's not how they're doing it. That is why most of the waterfall projects fail, because they will just go stick on some tight timeline. That means they're already giving timeline. They'll say, okay, by June 20th, we need this project to be done. What are you basing your estimate on or your focus on? And this is something you've never done before. And then if they don't meet this timeline, it means everybody have failed. So what do you think the team members will do? The people doing the work, they will take all the shortcut they can ever imagine. You see? And what will happen? It will affect quality. It will definitely affect quality. Because Agile is looking to be real, realistic. We don't want all these fictitious plans and putting the workers under pressure, and customers end up being unhappy because we've taken all the shortcuts in the world and we've delivered very low quality product. We want to be empirical. So even if we are giving estimate on something that we want to do, it should come from a place of facts. If we don't have the data, so let's say we're starting a very new sprint and that the work we've never done before, we shouldn't be giving any commitment. Again, coming from a place of honesty, the conversation that should be happening is, okay, and decide if you've even said you want to use Scrum, you're only saying that the project is that complex, that it means you don't know enough to be able to, give information that they can rely on 100% or commit to anything. So the conversation that will be happening is, okay, now that we're still starting these sprints, we all will experiment together, discover together as we go, and then you can decide. That is why, again, as we proceed, you will learn about velocity. We would want to work for averagely 3 sprints consecutively, and then gather data on how long it takes us to accomplish some certain kind of work, and then we use that as our baseline to give our stakeholders or our leadership that we think that we can averagely take 2 weeks to deliver this quantity of value. And it doesn't only end there. It still remains a focus. It's not a commitment. In Agile, we don't commit like that. The understanding is it still remains a focus. If anything is changing, we all will be having conversations. But where there is a problem is when you as a team, you've given that focus and then they're expecting to get this value at the end of the sprint. And then you realize that maybe you underestimate and then you don't say anything. You have to be having that conversation, that collaboration. Remember one of the values of the Agile Manifesto, customer collaboration, you see. So that's the trade-off around there. So that's the empirical way of working. Empirical way of working simply means that we work in reverse. You start with data before you go to action, as opposed to starting with action before data. That you're just lying to yourself because you don't know. Any question on that? Okay.
So, please, can I quickly follow up on that?
Yes.
Just want to get this right. I know you mentioned during the discussion and with the lady that spoke earlier, and I forgot her name. I think she mentioned it is based around observation and experimentation rather than, I think, similar to what she said, detailed upfront planning, right? Yeah,
that's what it is. Okay. Exactly.
But is it the same thing? It's just coming into my head now that the process relies around, is it the one that relies around the adaptation, transparency, and inspection?
Yeah, okay. So those ones are the Scrum pillars. Okay. So what you just said, transparency, inspection, and adaptation. It's what we call the Scrum pillars. So everything we are talking around Scrum, those 3 words are what will hold Scrum. If this is not in place, then Scrum will not work. You're just deceiving yourself. So the 3 pillars of Scrum is transparency. For us to actually get to our destination and everyone is happy delivering value, we have to be transparent with everything that's happening, because stakeholders want to know what's going on because they're accountable, and then as we are transparent, we have to continuously inspect what we are doing. That's, as we're experimenting, we want to inspect, check. So see inspection as just constant checking. And that's why Scrum have established the events, these formal events, as an opportunity to continuously check your work as you go. So that if anything new comes up outside of what everyone knows, get a conversation. That's the transparency we are talking about here. And then based on that, you adjust to whatever new discovery you've made. So those are the 3 pillars of Scrum, and that's what holds Scrum to stand. And without these pillars, empirical, even how are you going to achieve empiricism if you're not even transparent? Yeah, so that's a good question. So Nat wanted to understand what is the definition of waterfall. So the question I have back to you is, what are you trying to achieve with this question? Because first of all, nobody will ever ask you to define waterfall ever.
All right, so I was just thinking, like, in case I go for an interview and people are like, okay, we're moving from waterfall to Agile. Can you tell us what the waterfall system is? So I was just wondering if somebody ever asked me, instead of telling them what I understand it to be, do we have a legal definition?
No. So waterfall is just a traditional way of working. That's really what it is. It's just one of the one of the project management method or methodology. Okay. And it's a traditional way of working. That's just what it is. And trust me, nobody will ever ask you to define waterfall or all these definitions. That's not something you would even need in an interview, because before they even pick a phone to call you and schedule you for an interview, they are assuming that you are a professional, and they'll be focusing on what is important for you to come help them with some challenge that's going on, and wanting you to define something is not. They would assume that you've already passed that phase. Now, that kind of question can pop up if the answers you've been giving them doesn't make no sense. And then, to be honest, because you may be giving answers and then they start wondering, but your resume is saying that you've done these things, and then what you're saying with your mouth doesn't even align with your resume. So, and then they'll come with follow-up questions, to dig and dig just to uncover all the lies you've been telling them. Yeah, that's the only reason why I don't ever ask that kind of question. Yeah, all right. So just know in your head that waterfall is one of the project management methodologies. That's really what it is. And it's the traditional way of managing projects where the requirements are already known upfront, and it's long-term, and you plan the work and you execute. Well, if I want to define it now, I'll fall on all the negative sides of waterfall, which I don't want to go there. I don't want to say that, but just know that it's just one of the ways of managing projects methods. All right, so prototyping, testing, and dry run. Okay, I need us to see prototyping as, okay, let's say that you have developed this phone. That's your sprint goal. Your sprint goal was to create this phone, the software, whatever software that runs this phone. And then so you have a sprint review coming up where you have to demonstrate whatever you've done for the past sprints to your customers. You just want to be extra sure that it's doing what it was intended to do. So you conduct a prototyping, So see prototyping as a form of testing. It's just one form of testing. Just put the moving pieces together, connect all the moving pieces to show that the increment is actually doing what it's supposed to do. That's what prototyping is. So you pre-demo, or some people call it pre-demo. And then once that is done, you can now feel confident or safer to demonstrate it to the real customers. And then dry run also is another form of testing. So there are different kinds of testing. Dry runs typically happen after any kind of testing has been done. So I'll need you to, so let's give this example. Let's assume that we are building a shopping website. Let's say Amazon shopping website. We are the brain behind Amazon shopping website. So we are done with the product. We've already tested it, everything. And for us to be sure that when it gets to the customer facing environment, because right now it's still in our own environment, what we call the dev environment, where the work is being done is called the development environment. And then once the work is done, we will have to deploy it to the production environment. So production is where the customers will have to start using it, or you shopping on Amazon, that is the production environment where customers are now able to use it and all of that. So for us, so it's just more of continuously double checking quality to ensure that you're delivering top-notch quality. So before you finally ship it to the customer-facing environment, there is a fake environment. I'll use that term fake, which is in this professional term, we call it dry run. It's just you faking that testing environment, the customer-facing testing environment, still not the real environment, to ensure that it will interact with their different systems very well, seamlessly. Everything will work as it was intended. And then once it has passed that test and confirms that, yeah, great, it was connecting, everything is working smoothly, and then you push it now to the actual production environment. So that is dry run for you. So you would also hear they call this dry run UAT, which means user acceptance testing. So when you hear of user acceptance testing, think of dry run environments. So there would be some users, some people from the user-facing environment that are just there to, first of all, interact with this tool and ensure that it is doing what it's supposed to do before it's now shipped to the entire users, the entire market for consumption. So that is what we refer to as dry run, which is the same as UAT, user acceptance testing. Any question? Okay, let's talk about iteration. So in layman term, let's see iteration as cycle. If you are someone that goes to church every Sunday, then that's your iteration. Your iteration is every 7 days. You go to church every Sunday, that's your iteration. It happens every Sunday, that's your iteration. If you go to, let's say, every Friday, you have to go eat out, that's your iteration. Every Friday you go out to eat. So see iteration as cycle. Now in the Scrum environment, we prefer to work in short iterations, short cycles, which most companies will adopt 2 weeks cycles. So see iteration as cycles. Now we want to, let's say the entire big project is to create this phone with different functionalities. In this current sprints, so sprint, just see the sprint as the bucket, just the bucket that will run the events, whatever work we are doing. In this current sprints, our goal, because this phone, we cannot accomplish it in 2 weeks, which is 1 sprint. So we have set a sprint goal to only accomplish the ringtone functionality of this phone. That is the goal for this sprint. So during this sprint, that is our focus. We all are focused on ensuring that at the end of the sprint, we want to accomplish or achieve the ringtone functionality. That is 1 cycle. In the next cycle, the next 2 weeks cycle, we want to accomplish the selfie functionality. In the next sprint cycle, which is another 2 weeks now, is the 3rd sprint, we are focused on accomplishing the phone case functionality, or if at all it has functionality, you know. So that is just what iteration is. See iteration as cycle. That's what it is. Any questions so far?
Is iteration similar to sprint?
Okay, that's also a good question. So in a traditional Scrum environment, sprint is different from iteration, but most people use it interchangeably. But it means different things. So I'll need you to see sprints as just, we call it your heart, or you see it as just a container, a bucket that carries all of the events that you will be having in that 2-week sprint. So the standard sprint event will be your sprint planning, your daily scrum, your backlog refinement session. That's not an official event though. Your sprint retrospective, your sprint review. So the sprint is the bucket that carries all of these events. Now the iteration is just the frequency that it happens. So you should be saying sprint iteration. That's really how it is. But some people just say it's sprint 1, or some people just say the sprint. No, it's a sprint iteration. Or so when I say sprint iteration, I need you to hear it as sprint cycle. Our sprint iteration is 2 weeks. Our sprint iteration is a 3-week sprint iteration. We have a 4-week sprint iteration. That is how it is, which means a 2-week sprint cycle, a 3-week sprint cycle, because it's continuous and it's constant. You don't want a situation where in the first sprint you have a 2-week sprint, in the next sprint you have 3 weeks, in the next week 4 weeks. No, you want to settle on one cycle or one frequency.
The reason why I asked, sorry to button more. The reason why I asked, when I was reading through a related course within SAFE, they use iteration was used more for similar to what sprint is within Scrum.
You're very correct.
So I was a bit confused when I was saying that.
Yes, I like that you brought that up. So first of all, we are not a SAFE shop, but the next point I was supposed to make is, in the SAFE environment, you will hear of iteration. You will never hear sprints. They call what we refer to as sprint iteration. That's how they call it. But you know that all of these different 1 million different frameworks were all birthed from Scrum. And you don't want to replicate everything. They are trying to add their own little little salt here and there. But yes, in the SAFE environments, they will call it iteration. But it's called sprint iteration. That's what it is.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we are 26 minutes over, which normally in all the other classes we would spend 30 extra minutes. So I think we've done very well today. Is there any last minute question before we call it a day? All right. Okay, go ahead, Blessing.
So what is the Scrum Master's job? I just feel a bit, I don't know, maybe a little bit overwhelmed with all that.
Yeah, so what I can tell you today, which is the first day of classes, your concerns are very valid, trust me, but do not worry about what is the Scrum Master's job today.
Okay.
That is why we have 7 other lessons. As we proceed, you will understand these things. And this brings us to my reminders. If for any reason you're part of this session and you've not read the Scrum Guide, please go read the Scrum Guide. If you don't have a copy of the Scrum Guide, there is a free copy for you in the drive. So our class drive, there is a Scrum Guide in it. It's just 13 pages. The Scrum Guide is what you need for the exams. That's it. So I already mentioned, maybe when you watched the video, you heard me saying that, but let me say it again. Only 50%, approximately 50% of what we'll be discussing in this entire program, you will be needing for your exams. And the scope is just your Scrum Guide. That's it. But I know that there are some team members here who already are certified. So this information may not be helpful to them, but for your exams, you only need a Scrum Guide. So if you know that you've not read the Scrum Guide yet, please prioritize reading your Scrum Guide in addition to you completing your chapters. The remaining 50% of what we are covering in this program is everything else you're supposed to know to be effective on the ground as a Scrum Master. But again, it's from a theoretical perspective. And this program is customized. It's not the standard curriculum that you will get on all the other trainings, trust me. Our program is customized because we want to be real as possible, but most of the trainings, they only focus on the Scrum curriculum, which is what it truly should be. But the kind of struggle I went through when I was just trying to find myself, understanding all these things, like I'll go for interview, they're saying some things that I've never heard in my entire life. So that is how myself and other mentors have been able to put this material together to bring it to you, because you would definitely need these things when you start preparing yourself for interview, and when you start working, you will need to understand these things. For example, you have to have some foundation understanding of Kanban. You have to have some foundation understanding of the waterfall way of working, which is not part of the Scrum curriculum. You need to understand some engineering practices. You need to understand summary of all of these things, which is not part of the Scrum curriculum. You see all the thing we just discussed about waterfall, you will not see that in your exams. Nobody will be asking you that because it's not part of the Scrum curriculum. All the thing we'll be discussing about burn down charts, all of these things, nobody will ask you in your exams. They'll not ask you that, but you need to know that if you want to do the job. I mean, for people whose goal is to do the job. Yeah. So, team, thank you very much for listening to me rant for almost 1 hour, 30 minutes. And once the recording is available, I will post it on the WhatsApp forum. Hey, just so you know, we are recording live on YouTube, but only the members of this class have access to it. No one else. And please, again, confidentiality. We want to not share with nobody. So if you see yourself on YouTube, don't start thinking you're all over the place, because you're not. It's just us in this program. So I'm just going to share the link. And
I have 2 questions, please. 2 short questions.
Go ahead.
The first one is, when are we taking the exam? Is it the last week after the?
Okay. So I would like to say this. The good news is that you already, based on the payment you made, you should already have all your lessons. If you've done all of your payment, you should have all your lessons already. You have all the lectures already available to you. What will happen is that most people, by the time we get to lesson 3 or lesson 4, they're already done with their lectures, because the lectures are already made available to you offline, and they go already take their exams. But I usually recommend, I don't recommend anything. It's really how comfortable you are. If you think you've covered the scope of the Scrum Guide, and then there are also some practical questions in the drive also for you. And trust me, at least 90% of those questions in there you will see them in your exams. So if you know that you've practiced those questions and you've covered your Scrum Guide, you should be able to go take your exams. It's really all up to you. But like
I didn't understand you. Because I didn't understand exactly what you mean, but like when. So if we finish a training, we have the.
Okay, this is what I'm saying. All of your lectures are already made available to you offline, correct? You have access to your lectures, right? So it's really all up to you. If you want to go by our pace, which we will be finishing 1 lesson at a time for the next 4 weeks, then you would want to take your test whenever we are done. But if you want to move ahead of everyone, just like Nati, and you feel comfortable already, go take your exams. It's really all up to you.
Okay, I think that I had somebody who answered my question, because I wasn't understanding what you were saying. She said we have to do it. It's external. It's not through you guys. So. Okay.
Oh, so you're looking to know if we give the exams?
Yes, that was what I wanted to know.
No.
We have, where do we go? What do we have?
Oh, okay.
So we can register for the exam.
I thought you were asking when, not where.
So no, when.
Okay, for the when you take your exams on scrum.org. That's where you go register. And again, we will talk more of that as we proceed in this program. We'll cover that. All right, team. Thank you all very much, and see you all on Thursday. You still have another question, Christine, because your facial expression.
Yes, yes.
All right, go ahead with your question.
Sorry. So the other question is, you see how you can do the nursing class and then you have practical. Like, let's say, for example, for me, I usually like when I do the practical, I understand more and quickly than reading and all this. So do you think we will have any practical things so we can know a little bit?
Okay, so remember I said from next lesson, you all will start being the Scrum Master. You see what I did today, going through the daily Scrum, that's one of the events you will have to be running. So from the next session, everyone, you will self-organize and, run your show. Now, if the kind of practicals you're talking about, I'm not a nurse, I don't know, is the in-depth doing the real work and all of that, it's different from training. So we have level 1, which is more of the theoretical understanding of the concept. You need to understand the concept first. And then we have level 2, which is more of mentoring and coaching. It's not training. And in level 2, that's where we do all the prepping, building, and all of that for you to go and be successful in your interview and be successful on the job. All of that happens in level 2, if that answers your question. Does that answer your question?
It's okay.
Hello, Karen, I think. Okay.
Excuse me. She's talking about, like.
So we are already 35 minutes over. I need us to first recognize that.
Talking about
okay. Hello, Karen,
excuse me, this is Benedicta.
Go ahead.
I believe she's talking about like where she can get like past questions before going for the re-exam.
I mean, Christine, tell us if that's what you mean. I don't know.
Okay, past
because Benedicta is just assuming now.
I mean, like, let's say I just took an example of nursing. I can take an example like a computer, somebody who, if we go for the interview, you going for a job. Your job is work. Let's say working on the computer, right? They will tell you sit on that computer and then open this.
Okay, so Christine, here we are not even talking about interviews. No, we are talking about you pass. This program is designed to help you understand the concept and pass your exams. That is the goal. It's in level 2 that you even want to be talking about interviews. So here is not an interview program. So let's first of all just forget about that. I may be talking about some things for the interview, but it's just to help you better understand some concepts, but it's not a goal for level 1.
Karen, please, can I say something to Christine?
Go ahead.
Coming from, based on experience, I was once like you that I want to pass the exam. Once I pass the exam, I'm just going to go to the job and just get it. It's not going to happen that way if you don't learn the basics. I've done Scrum since 2019. I've passed my exam since 2019. I'm a DevOps engineer right now, but I'm just transitioning into Scrum. But I didn't focus majorly on the basics. And it's the reason why I'm back here right now. So if you don't focus on the basics and just thinking of the exam and further down the line, you will find it difficult by the time you get there, and you won't just like, I can't go anywhere. So please get on with the basics. Once that basic is very readily understood, everything else becomes easy. And that's a struggle I'm having right now, because I thought once I do the course, pass my exam, everything becomes easy for me to go through. But I find it difficult because I don't understand those basics. Especially, I once had an interview as a Scrum Master. Majority of those questions were never about definitions. Tell me about daily Scrums, blah, blah, blah. They were all scenario-based questions, which you have to refer back to all of those basic things you still need to know. So I think you need to really focus on the basic part before you want to run into into the other part. The other part is going to come easy once that basic is not very understood. And it's the reason why I'm back here. So talking from experience, that's why I'm just sharing that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And by the way, Akolade is not the only person. We have people who thought that they already got the basics. They went to level 2, and then they realized that they still have a lot of gaps on the basics. They decided to come take level 1. See? So, Christine, my honest advice to you would be focus on understanding what we're talking about, the concepts, the foundation. Once that is done, once you've achieved that, before you even start thinking about interview. That's just being honest. But most programs out there, they will not tell you that. They'll give you the perception that once you're done with the 2 days class that is offered, you should just start looking for a job. You're just lying to yourself. This is not going to happen like that.
That's true.
All right. Thank you all. And have a good rest of your day, night.